All right. Hey, Facebook Live. Hey, Talk Universe. We are live today. We have some amazing guests. I'm going to show them all up here with you. We got Ricardo, we got Lauren, we got Beth, we have Tom, and I can only fit another 3 on the screen. So Tom and Lauren, just give us all a wave. We're going to be getting to you in just a moment. Or wait a minute, we gotta hit the right buttons here. All right. So, and I've got so many people here in the green room. This is the first time I've had all 5 guests on time, like right at the beginning. So we are going to jump right in here. As we are doing so, I am going to tag Lauren and Beth here on Facebook Live so more people can see this, because we're in a never-ending battle against the evil, wicked Facebook algorithm. And we can overcome this, and you watching this can help Kathy, you can help Tom, you can help Rick, you can help Lauren, you can help Beth overcome this by taking your finger and wiggling your finger over the share button. It will do amazing good, and it will allow more people to see the power of Lauren's talk. And a minute here. Yeah, wait a minute. I gotta. Yeah, I think Lauren and I may be already connected here. So I'm going to tag Lauren in that. Going to tag Kathy. Thanks for being patient here. And this is powerful because when people are tagged, people actually see it, which is great. All right, so I'm going to close that up. I'm going to get off Facebook here because I want to preserve my RAM. All right, and we are back. All right, Kathy, any questions before we start other than the ones that you mentioned before we actually started? I am pulling up your piece right here. All right, good deal. Well, we are live in 3, 2. We are live with Kathy Leckey. Kathy, are you ready to talk?
I am.
Kathy Leckey works at Something New, a national team of innovative sales and marketing recruiters. She is a TEDx Youth at Buffalo alumni speaker of 2014, and she volunteers an awful lot, as you hear from her talk, at various local organizations with her amazing family. A mom who lived in Connecticut, a mom who lives in Connecticut with her 3 teenagers and 2 dogs. Kathy Leckey, welcome to the talk.
Thanks, Nathan. I'm really excited to be here.
Your talk is called The Choices We Make. And I think that you get the Vulnerability Award. I mean, if you are at home, Talk Universe, listening to this, if you're watching this right now on Facebook Live on the broadcast, Kathy's talk is one of the most vulnerable, mainly because your family has been giving so tremendously, and then you had such challenges, and then you start opening up about those challenges in a really personal way. And you mentioned that life is like having your own choose your own adventure book. And I was already thinking exactly that. And then we got to that part in your talk and you confirmed it. So Kathy, please take us behind the talk.
Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, it ended up being a very putting myself in a very vulnerable position, but not really by choice. So I showed up and I had sent in a video application to talk about what my kids had been doing, charity and volunteer organizations that we'd worked with. And I was accepted for that. So I went into the first interview and I sat with a team of people and I told them about all of these great things that we had been doing. And, you know, like always, they were saying things like, that's amazing, and what great kids you have, and what a great family. And I started welling up with tears. And I said, you have no idea. You really have no idea what's going on right now. And this woman who was sitting next to me, Stacy, reached across the table and grabbed my hands. And she said, you have something to say. And I didn't realize how much I had to say until then. So that's how it started. It really, you know, I had gone in to talk about something completely different and came out was something that was much more meaningful.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's all on the talk. So you can watch the talk. We'll have a link to the talk. You're going to find out how amazing the transparency really was on Kathy's part. I mean, and the way that you shared it was really, really powerful. Again, started with the kids, went over to some of the challenges, and then really made it about us, like all good TEDx talks do. The really, truly good ones, they will transcend the speaker's experience and become relatable to everyone. So you mentioned that we can choose three things, that number one, that we have the power of choice when a disaster or some kind of crisis happens. Are we a victim or are we a victor? Choose. I love this. You start talking about choosing what we want from the opportunity. It's an opportunity. If we're going to see this as a victor, then we have an opportunity to harvest and then be able to choose our action. And obviously, we always refer back to this point to the work of Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. He was in the concentration camp. All great talks really go back to that and really bring it back into the present. So I was just amazed at the amazing good that your family has been doing. I was amazed at just your transparency and vulnerability to be able to bring all of these things forward. And was there a moment where you really decided to kind of take their advice and make it extra personal and be transparent, as opposed to making this only about your kids and the amazing volunteerism that they do?
Yeah, I was actually very lucky to have a mentor that was on the committee. Her name is Stacy. She was the one that had reached out to me originally, and she guided me through the writing process and the putting it all together. She was actually worried in the end that she had put me in too vulnerable of a position, but it wasn't the case. My kids were in the audience when I gave that talk, and I couldn't be more thankful for that, because it really set the tone for us for the future, so that we had no secrets. We had nothing to hide behind. Prior to that, my kids would question when we were talking to people that we had known from the past or people that we had just met. They'd kind of, pull me aside and say, do they know? And so there was no more questioning anymore. Everybody knew what we were going through. And that there was a real freedom in that. So it was, it was difficult, but ended up really being one of the best things I think I could have done for them and for myself.
Well, Talk Universe, we've been enjoying this conversation with Kathy Leckey. Her talk is entitled The Choices We Make, and we're going to have a link up and tell you where to go to find out about that. I know you're thinking, what is the big secret here? Well, it's all on the talk. We're going to drive you over there if you really want to know, and it's worth knowing and it's worth finding out. And again, as I've said, this is a textbook vulnerability talk, the way that she delivers it right there. So we're going to pivot over to you, Talk Universe, in just a moment for the Blitz Round. And we're back with the Blitz Round with Kathy Leckey. I'm going to ask Kathy a series of either-or questions related to the preparation and performance of your recent talk. Kathy, are you ready?
Yes. Ready.
First question, were you invited to speak or did you apply? I
applied with a video.
Awesome. So how did you get accepted? Any advice for others getting accepted?
Well, I went in and told my story, and they had a large, they had a large committee of people. So I sat down in front of 5 or 6 people, I think, and went over my application video, and that started the conversation. And, I was lucky. I felt very lucky to be chosen.
Well, you earned it because you got accepted, and congratulations. That's where most of us are, that we have to get accepted as opposed to being invited. And that can be a difficult, slow, tenacious experience. So congratulations. Kathy, are you a memorizer, improviser, or a blender?
I am a memorizer. And I was told that day that we would have a teleprompter which we did not have. And so I had really, really worked hard on memorizing it. But what I ended up doing, my hack that day, was that I took my 5 sheets of handwritten, my speech, and I laid them on the floor below me so that I could just visually kind of pick up. If I got lost somewhere, I was able to pick myself back up and get back on track. But, one of the things that I was reminded by, a friend, was that it was my story. So there was no forgetting it. There was no telling it wrong. It was my story. And I just really didn't want to leave any parts out, was my only concern. So I did.
Yeah, you really,
as best I could.
Your story is a part of you, and it's hard to miss. Talk Universe. That's great that Kathy memorized. And I was at a event not long ago where the first 2 speakers, it looked like they were staring at their shoe, and it's because they did have a teleprompter monitor on the floor, and their eyes were glued to the floor. And I tell you, that's not the way that you want to come out on your TEDx talk. Congratulations, Kathy, for not doing that. It makes for a much better talk at that point. What's a tip, tool, or technique that helped you?
Really using the mentors. So I was able to be on the committee for the talks after that, and I really loved being the mentor for future speakers. So I would use that resource. I would take the help that you can, have people, practice your speech, read it to people, let people read it for you, and, just use the resources around you. Not be afraid to ask.
And what's this was the cut for time question. What was the most painful part of the talk that you had to cut out?
Oh, there were, I can't say. I mean, I am lucky that I had volumes written. The day that I started writing this was a very difficult day. And so it was really a huge catharsis for me. So I don't even know what I left on the floor. I do have those papers somewhere, and I'll look at them someday and see what else is there. But I was lucky that I had Stacy to help me and guide me and really pull it all together.
Now, what was the most unexpected, strange, or just plain weird thing that happened during or right before your talk?
The fact that I was able to do it was the most unexpected thing. I mean, when I walked off that stage, I turned to, the closest person, and I said, that was divine intervention. There is no way I could have just done that. So really just having been able to get the words out and have that experience was the craziest thing for me.
And just so that I'm really clear, we already talked about this, but just to really reconfirm it, you were, up until a few days before, this talk was about your kids. This was about their volunteerism. This is about the great things that you've been able to do to serve other people and their family, and maybe, inspire others to get involved. And it was a pivot just a couple of days before. Yeah, so it became about you and some of the things going on that people can find out when they go to the talk.
Yes, I had about 2 weeks to actually put it all together. Yeah, so that was a challenge, but that's actually probably a good thing for me.
Probably was. And again, like I've been telling you, Talk Universe, this is a textbook talk in vulnerability and bravery and sharing in just a really matter-of-fact, transparent way. And I love the storyline in a way. I do love it because it made for a really valuable, effective talk, not just about the volunteerism and the heroism, but then to have to pivot into that and make the choice for vulnerability. Kathy, I know I'm so glad that you did that, even though it was difficult.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who have appreciated it, who said that it has helped them. And that's really what, my main goal is to be able to help people through the experiences that I went through.
Well, we've been enjoying the Blitz Round with Kathy Leckey. Her talk is called The Choices We Make. And you can go to our show notes page to connect with her on LinkedIn. We'll have her LinkedIn profile right there, as well as we will have a link to this mysterious talk that we've been alluding to. And you need to go down there and see it. Go to BeTheTalk.com, or you can type into YouTube, TEDx, The Choices We Make, in quotes, and you'll find that. And you got to check out this talk. We will be back in just a moment with Kathy Leckey for the final word of advice. And we're back with Kathy Leckey. It's time for the final word of advice.
I had someone, it's funny because we talked about me being on this podcast about 6 months ago, and I was really too afraid to do it. And my first thought was, I don't have anything to offer. There's nothing that I can say that would be helpful. And someone reached out to me on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, and he would like to be a TEDx speaker at some point and asked me for help. And by the end of the call, I was in tears. He was in tears. It was it was great. And it really, that was the day that I contacted you and said, okay, I'm ready. I have something to share. So, one of the thing that came up with him is he said, how did you manage all of the public speaking and engagements that came after your talk? And I said, I didn't have any. What my big mistake was, because I really wanted to share what I had to say, was that I was waiting for people to ask me. And that's not the way it works. And so, if I had realized that, I would have been more proactive about being able to go out and share my story.
Powerful takeaways. And it is important to have a stage ready brand when we go out there. And that's something that we talk about more in Get Accepted. So I'm glad that Kathy mentioned that. Kathy, I am so glad that you came to share your wisdom today with Talk Universe.
I loved it. Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap. Now, we are still broadcasting on Facebook Live. Wow, man, that last bit is powerful because we're all about helping other people get accepted. So, Kathy, if you tick the box about Get Accepted, I'll send you some of the information that I'm starting to finalize to some of our Talk alumni right there. But I'm absolutely dedicated to helping other people get accepted. And if you saw my Facebook post, the first kind of crew of people from that secret beta course actually gave their first talks on opposite sides of the world about 2 weekends ago. And I was in the room for one of them. So that's really the best feeling, when you're actually able to coach, mentor, guide someone to that point, and you see the brilliance after they really dedicate themselves to it. So, any advice to the rest of our group in dealing with me? We got Lauren here. I'm going to bring Lauren, and I don't know if Ricardo came up. We're going to bring Ricardo in here. Any advice to Lauren and Ricardo in dealing with me? We're going to jump on with Beth next because she was on first, but I tried to get Ricardo up there. There we go. What advice do you have?
You're not as scary as you look.
Guys.
A couple of breaths will get you through. I have to say, that was so fast that, I still have 2 hours left of material to talk about. So.
Oh, I know you do. So just stay tuned to next steps. I do have next steps. After almost a year of doing these interviews, my number one takeaway, because we're at this point, we are well past the 300 interview mark. And my number one takeaway is some of my favorite guests. It's frustrating because it's like, I don't want to have guests. I want to actually have more interviews with some of my favorite people on Be the Talk. So right. I'm putting together some ways to be able to do that. So anyway, this is awesome.
Can I ask you a favor?
Oh, sure.
Can you put the screen back on so it was you and me so I can take a screenshot?
Sure. Okay. Well, Ricardo, bye-bye. We're going to walk Ricardo back to the green room. Lauren, we're walking you back to the green room. Okay, here we go with the screenshot.
All right. Thank you.
Give you a little thumbs up right there. All right. Awesome. Well, cool. All right, Kathy, feel free to stick around if you're able. Otherwise, have a great day. And this should be out in about 4 or 5 weeks.
All right.
And Lester is my talk ninja. He does such a great job of getting all of these things scheduled and everything else. So, Beth, you ready to rock? There she is. How are you? And we can't hear anything anymore. We can't hear it anymore. Whatever you did before, I'm not hearing anything. Still not hearing anything, Beth. Not cool. All right. Yeah, one moment. Let's give Beth just a couple more moments, and if not, we're going to jump over to Lauren. Just because we are tight with everybody showing up on time. That when I changed the format, it was a little nerve-wracking because it's like, what do you do when you have 5 people, intelligent, top of their game TEDx alumni who are waiting to go on, and what the heck? So go figure. Lauren, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we can hear you loud and clear. And Beth, we're going to give you another shot after we're done here with Lauren. Beth knows how it is. See, we did a pre-interview talk with Beth about a month ago. And so she knows how this is. So we can do that. All right, Lauren, let's bring up your information here. Okay, snack on exercise, boost your brain, body, and mood. I love your talk. Here we go. Here, an award-winning New Zealand well-being specialist with 18 years experience, founder of Get Fit, Feel Fabulous, the Snack on Exercise movement, the author, Real Food, Less Fuss. Lauren is a keynote speaker who helps people boost their health, energy, and productivity. I'm laughing because that is a packed sentence.
Yeah, I think I had to cut out some verbs, like you said.
I've just got to do this on the fly because I used to do like editing when I did one-on-one interviews on Skype. Then I'd be doing like so many bio edits. So anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to edit on the fly. Give me a 5 count if you would, Lauren. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, excellent. And it's laurenparsonswellbeing.com.
Yes, it is. Yes,
excellent. All right.
Yep.
Well, we are live in 3, 2. We are live with Lauren Parsons. Lauren, are you ready to talk?
I am. Hi, Nathan.
Lauren Parsons is an award-winning New Zealand well-being specialist with 18 years experience. Lauren's the founder of the Get Fit, Feel Fabulous, the Snack on Exercise movement. She's the author of Real Food, Less Fuss. Lauren is a keynote speaker who helps people boost their health, energy, and productivity. Lauren Parsons, welcome to the talk.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
I love your talk, Snack on Exercise, boost your brain, body, and mood. And the whole premise of your talk is just doing 1-minute workouts 3 or 4 times a day is actually a really effective way of boosting ourselves. If for people like me, we're just kind of wimps. We don't get, I'm not CrossFitter. I'm not high intensity interval training guy. I'm just kind of basically lazy. And I know that's not good. And I know I need to do something to at least baby step my way to CrossFitting someday. And I love talks like yours because it just kind of baby steps the way. It doesn't dumb it down, but it really encourages us that there's more than one way to get fit. So please, Lauren, take us behind the talk.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, there's so many people that have told me that they know they want to get fit, they're healthy and well, they want to boost their mood and their mental health, but so many people just tell me they don't have the time. So what I've done is, as you say, given people the simplest and most effective way to boost their mood and boost their health and their brain. Because if we can fit movement into our day right throughout the day in short bursts, where we don't even have to work up a sweat, it's going to help us to be more effective in our workplaces, more engaged in our relationships. It's going to help us if we're studying or for our children to have better results. And yeah, it's going to help us not just boost our health and our physical well-being, but our mental well-being. So I'm really excited to see the whole snack on exercise idea growing and expanding and hopefully starting to create a change in our social norms.
Yeah, well, what's tell us about the movement. What's going on? I'm assuming that the TEDx talk was just one small part of what you've been doing. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so we launched in 2017, and I have a great range of phenomenal health and fitness professionals from all around the world who have been contributing snack idea video clips. So I love sharing what it's all about, but the next step for people is, right, well, what can I do? So we've got people that are, for example, showing you how you can do some push-ups on your kitchen counter or a stretching routine while the kettle is boiling, things you can do at your office, a little desk exercise routine. So we've launched that, and we've created a free 7-day challenge, and we've had thousands of people take part in that. And the feedback has been that people are feeling more calm, more centered, they have more energy throughout the day, they're feeling more positive and upbeat. And I've had mums, for example, tell me that they used to feel like they had no time and they thought they'd never get their fitness back, but now, I can just get down on the floor and do it with my child while I'm changing them, or play with my daughter, and just integrate it, to make it a really integrated, fun, uplifting part of your day, rather than having that mentality that exercise, for some people it's almost like a bad word, that we think of it and we just feel guilty and think we should fit it in. But I think you should take exercise off your should-do list and just really integrate it into everything that you do so that it's natural and so your body moves as it's designed to. Technology is changing the way we live, but our bodies are definitely designed to move.
Well, and I love this because it just appeals to so many of us that feel so burdened and like we're overscheduled. And I love this idea of just kind of hacking your way through the kitchen, or if you're a mom or something like that, finding ways to do push-ups on the kitchen counter or some of the other things that you mentioned, because a lot of times we're sitting around. What are we doing when we're stuck on the phone? Well, we're on the cell phone, but like the olden days when we actually had a wire, it's like, what could you do? You could hack out some of these things. What can you do when the kettle's boiling? And what I was just doing with my tea here, waiting for 10 minutes for that water to boil. And I love this because what are you thinking? My point is this. What are you thinking 10 minutes sitting around waiting for the kettle to? It's like, I could be doing something more useful than this. And so voila, you've got all these great tips. Lauren has this whole suite of dozens of coaches, and they're contributing their own tips and hacks. It's not all Lauren's, correct? If I understand that correctly. They're actually coming, they're being generative and they're being problem solving. And that's the point. So what does that do for you, Lauren, when you see people uploading videos and exercise and you see some of their videos take off and go a little bit viral and people getting into shape that way?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And, if there are other fitness professionals watching this, you can come and be a part of this. You can head over and click on the contribute tab and contribute. And it's brilliant because it's a real win-win. We've got people, that are from Perth, Western Australia, from New Zealand, from Canada, from the States, from the UK. And it's creating this real global community, which is wonderful. And we're highlighting what they do. And people love connecting through video and getting to know people. And so they're then collecting some of the trainers do work online and are available for further assistance. But it's really great because it's helping them share their message and helping us share this message of the snack on exercise movement and just shift people's paradigms. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's next for the movement is my question, because you've already, it sounds like it's going viral. You have coaches all over the world. What's next for it?
So we now want to work more and more, and we have an in-depth, so it's a 4-week program that people can take part in because it really helps people to cement it. So as well as getting daily short video ideas, there are mindset lessons around some of the biggest mistakes that we face or that we make quite often when we try to start a new health or fitness routine, how to actually switch on your internal motivation. And my real focus is in working with organizations because The challenge if I help one person and they're sitting in their cubicle and they have this idea to snack on exercises, is they just feel a bit silly if they just get up and get moving at their desk. But if I can talk to a whole organization, we can actually shift the culture to create a positive, energized, vibrant culture. And doing things like, for example, setting a timer on your smartphone to count down so that every 25 minutes you get up and move for a few minutes. That not only helps you boost your health, but it massively boosts productivity because we have this false sense of urgency counting us down, making us more focused on our work while we're doing it. So that's my goal, is to work with more and more organizations and groups and help to grow it that way and really change the workplace culture.
All right. So Talk Universe, Lauren is reading my mail right now because it's like, gotta work on my interviews for Be the Talk, gotta edit, gotta do this, and it's like, could I just she's describing exactly what my day looks like, because I'm just kind of getting beat up by nasty Nathan part of my brain, and it's like, what, sometimes I do go outside, I walk around the block, take a thinking break, go out and walk, and love doing that, but a lot of times I don't, or that's too much for the context. But it's like I'm looking for, what can I do? And I actually, learning from Lauren and doing the research on this yesterday, I actually did 1 minute of squats just where I was. I did it. And what I realized is 1 minute, if you're not used to doing 1 minute of squats for a whole minute, that's too long. It should probably do like 20 seconds or 30 seconds and then do a different kind of exercise. But I knew I was like gonna talk about this in the interview, so I stuck with the minute just to say that I've done it. So
you're a motivated starter, but you're a quick learner. So you could even just doing 10 squat reaches is a great way. And I think it takes away the barrier. So people realize I don't have to go somewhere, I don't have to get changed. I can just fit this into my day. And actually, when you're working, you can refocus and get more done and be much more productive. So you do have the time. It's just reworking the way that you structure your day.
Yeah, well, and this is so powerful because, there are CEOs listening to this, there are executives listening to this, there are managers listening to this, maybe just a middle manager right now, but you've got some kind of an initiative, or at least the mumbo jumbo corporate speak says, oh, we value health. Well, if you're a manager, your whole department, you could, show them one of Lauren's videos. You could just make it a safe space in your department for people to, do these kinds of exercises wherever culturally, without everybody kind of giving them the hairy eyeball or the stink eye or anything like that, that people could do that in a quiet way and just not be, have that weird little social pressure. So Lauren, am I on track there? What else could somebody do?
Yeah, absolutely, because it is about changing the social norm so that becomes normal and actually applauded, because we know all the benefits. So definitely, I love speaking to managers about this. And really, for an organization, if the top level management can get on board with this, it does create a culture change that filters down. And so that's what I love helping to instill. So it's just thinking about what are the things you can link movement to in your day. We all have different routines. Might be every time you check your phone, every time you get a text message, every time you go to the bathroom, when you're making a cup of tea, when you're getting the printing, before you have a shower. There's lots of things in your day that you can just link a movement break to, and you can find whatever your favorites are. There are plenty on the Facebook page and on the Snack on Exercise website, and just come up with your own favorite little moves. For me, I start every morning with 4 minutes of movement. So my alarm goes off, I put on my song, I do a bit of a stretching, strengthening routine. It's always a little bit different. So it just depends on the person and what's going to suit them. But the key message with snacking on exercise is this is so accessible to everyone at whatever age. What you do at 37 will be different to what you do at 73, but there is always something you can do to either get your heart rate up or strengthen your muscles. And the science, which if you listen, you can hear it in the TED Talk, the science really backs this up, and it's phenomenal the results we can get from just a short amount of time.
Well, we've been enjoying this talk with Lauren Parsons. Her talk is called Snack on Exercise, Boost Your Brain, Body, and Mood. And we're going to be right back with Lauren. Pivot over to you, Talk Universe, in the Blitz Round. And it's time for the Blitz Round with Lauren Parsons. I'm going to ask her a couple of either or questions related to the preparation and performance of her recent talk. Lauren, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First off, were you invited to speak or did you apply?
Oh, I applied to TEDx Oneonta because I loved their theme connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how did you get accepted?
So, well, then I just got an email straight back from the organizer. It was actually amazing. They just came back and said they loved the concept and how it was going to fit in with their theme. And then we had a phone conversation and it was confirmed. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Lauren, in terms of your preparation, are you a memorizer, improviser, or blender?
I am normally more of a speak off the cuff, have a rough outline. I do speak a lot, but this is the only talk that I've ever memorized, a talk of that length. And I did practice it to the point that it was virtually word for word memorized because of the timing and because you need to be so respectful of the timing for a TED delivery for that platform. And I just wanted to make sure that I didn't go off on any tangents or lengthen things out. So it was very much timed and practiced. I'd videoed it several times. And yeah, my kids, sometimes they would just get sick of me walking around the house, going over my talk over and over. But yeah, it was a real intense period of preparation.
Lauren, were you an opener, a closer, or in between?
Well, sorry, I'm not sure if I understand what that means.
Did you open the program? Did you close the program?
Okay.
Or were you in between that day?
Yeah, so there were 6 speakers. I was the third up just before the break, and they did that because I was going to get everyone up from the audience and get them moving, and they wanted that to be after people had been seated for a while.
Yeah. Any advice for people that are closing out a section?
Oh, I think, the key thing with your TED Talk is delivering to your ability, and every talk needs to start strong and finish strong. I think wherever you are in the order, it all builds to the event on the day, but probably the biggest reach that we will have with our TED Talk is in the online video, which obviously stands alone. So I think starting strong and finishing by connecting with the audience and really taking them to where you want them to head is the key. Yeah.
Well, we've been enjoying this Blitz round with Lauren Parsons. Her talk is called Snack on Exercise, Boost Your Brain, Body, and Mood. And you can watch that talk on our show notes page at bethetalk.com. You want to check it out. You can also check out what Lauren is doing at laurenparsonswellbeing.com. laurenparsonswellbeing.com. And we'll be right back in just a moment for the final word of advice. And we're back with Lauren Parsons. It is time for the final word of advice.
Okay. What I would say to anyone watching this that is busy, that's got a lot on their plate, that's perhaps juggling work and family life, is imagine what it would be like if you went through your day having great energy, being more focused. Imagine if those times when perhaps you have a lower mood, you just knew how to pick yourself up instantly. If that appeals to you, then I really encourage you to try out just doing a 1-minute snack on exercise, just something as movement, something to get your heart rate up or to get your muscles moving, and just see what a difference it makes for you. Because if we can really all start doing this, we can really create a change in the way that we live in our communities. We can make it more normal to play at the playground with our kids, to get up from our desk. What if you just did the simple switch of choosing to take the stairs more often than you press the button on the elevator? Small things really do add up to make a big difference. So I would just encourage you to try it out, see what a difference snacking on exercise can make for you. And I would love to hear from you, because the thing that lights my day up the most is getting the emails and the text messages and Facebook comments of people saying, boiling the kettle is never going to be the same again, or this is what I now do while I brush my teeth, and this is how I feel. So I just encourage you to try it out. If that sounds like that appeals at all, give it a go and see what a difference it makes for you.
Well, Lauren Parsons, thanks so much for carving out time to be on the talk today and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe.
You are so welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, it's great to spread the message.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Whew, done.
Very good. Hey, any advice to Ricardo and Tom, who are in the green room? We're going to try Beth out here, but I'll let you speak to that. Yes. Congratulations. You are our newest Talk alumni.
Okay, great. Hi, Beth. Can we hear you now? I can't see Ricardo and Tom.
Yes, I can hear
you're
something.
on.
There's like a kettle. I hear like a kettle boiling or something out there, or a car, or something vrooming up there. So
there's people doing the leaves outside my window.
Oh, the leaves.
They're they're heading out. Yeah, I know. It was bad earlier.
Great timing.
Yeah.
Lauren, thank you so much. I was just hearing it when they were walking past, but I don't.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah. Lauren, we're going to escort you back to the green room here. Thank you so much. Just hear an undercurrent here. Are you time strapped, Beth? Because I'm thinking maybe what we want to do is bring up Tom next.
Yeah, bring up the other people
just
next.
let the leaf blower person do what they're doing, because I'm just hearing like an undertone.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So
I'm excited to see the other speaker.
Yeah, here's what we're going to do. Let's say hi to Tom here. I'm bringing Tom up.
Hi, Tom.
Look out.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
We're doing good.
Great.
Beth, I'm going to escort you back to the green room. Poor Beth, this is like strike two here. It's not the first time the sound didn't work. Second time the sound works, and you've got the person blowing the leaves around, which I've had that happen with people before.
Yeah,
it's like we don't want like a domestic incident. Don't go out there and yell, "I'm on a podcast." Don't do that unless you're in an office or something.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. All right, Tom. Let's do a little 5 count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I did send you a Facebook friend request, so you can tag me so we can get the live stream going.
Aha. Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. That's just gonna take up some more RAM here. I shut the windows out because the RAM just like gets incredibly sucked out here. Oh, you sent me a request. So now I get to confirm. Oh, I see you here, Ricardo. All right. This is a group that's on the ball here today. I think I might have, do I have all 5 of you as friends now? That's crazy.
You do, yeah.
That's great. All right. Well, this is going to be a very well watched. It's going to be well watched. All right. There we go. Tom. Oh, Ricardo. Okay. Did you tag me under Rick Sierra or Ricardo? I don't remember because I just saw that. If you can chat, Ricardo, is it Ricardo or Rick under Facebook? I'm looking at the chat right now. Not seeing it in there yet. Oh, there we go. The Earth Mentoring Institute. Okay, I see that. Boom. All right. Awesome. Well, we got everybody tagged. That is wonderful. Everybody is tagged now. I'm going to close out my Facebook. Yeah. Well, and I appreciate everybody's time and everything. We're doing decent on time. We are doing decent on time, but I try to do that. Yeah. Is that an expression of enthusiasm or pain in the chat there, Ricardo? See, yeah. I used to have like a weird little comic book, kind of religious comic books, and that would be what was in the little call out as someone was falling to their death. It would always say, yeah, so hopefully not too many at Talk Universe read the same little religious comic books as I did as a kid, but you know them when you see them. But anyway, a little insider joke there. Rick, everything's good. Give me a thumbs up if you're not in pain, my friend. I'm looking at you in the green room. All right, I get the thumbs up. All right, everything is cool. All right, so now we are gonna. Where are you, Tom? There you are. Okay. Here we go. I see you up there. Okay. All right. So Tom, let's see. Tom Edwards is the Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at Epsilon Agency and an ad age marketing technology trailblazer. That's all I have on the bio. So is it Advertising Age Magazine? Is it just Ad Age?
You can just call it Ad Age. That's
Ad Age. Okay. Very good. All right, blackfin360.com, and the talk is the evolution of experience.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we are ready to rock in 3, 2. We are live with Tom Edwards. Tom, are you ready to talk?
I'm ready.
Tom Edwards is the Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at Epsilon Agency and an Ad Age marketing technology trailblazer. Tom Edwards, welcome to the talk.
Nathan, thank you for having me.
Your talk is called The Evolution of Experience. I love the talk because you make a real connection between today's world of artificial intelligence, as well as you're a Star Wars fan as well. The tablets that we use, C3PO, you bring it all together. Take us behind the talk.
Absolutely. I wanted to create a connection with the audience through something they use every day. That's their mobile device. And use that as a baseline to get everybody kind of settled, use some pop culture references, entertainment references such as Star Wars, but really give a sneak peek into the near future on how, artificial intelligence and how our environment is adjusting, and ultimately how consumer behavior drives emerging technology and emerging technology's impact on behavior.
Yeah, well, and here's the funny thing. Like, Talk Universe knows, that I'm from a healthcare family. So my father posts some pictures from the hospital, and it was like this robot going around, I guess, dispensing meds, and it was just this giant robot tray going around, and I just never seen that before when I was a kid. And he would take me into the little vending machine room on Rounds in the late 70s. We didn't have that. We had C3PO in there, but that was my comment back to my dad. I'm like, did you see R2D2 around the bend, or giving out meds, or prescribing, or diagnosing? So these things are all a part of our modern world, and they used to be science fiction, but they're there here now. How are you working with these technologies and tying them together and really bringing them into the real world, Tom?
Yeah, I've spent the last 20 years really looking at both consumer behavior, like how people interact with technology, and helping organizations integrate emerging technology into their businesses. And what I do is I look at it through the lens of 3 different filters. It's empower, exponential, and enhanced. So when you talk about integrating all these emerging technologies, empower is understanding, now it's our desire to control our experiences. We control everything from the way in which we watch television. I have 3 Gen Z children, and they control all of their experiences. Mm-hmm. The second is really around exponential. And that's the role that intelligent systems are going to play to further enhance our lives. The research that I conducted really shows that in order for people to adopt intelligent systems, in order for this to happen, it's all about ease and convenience. And the third piece is really around, our reality is shifting. So this whole idea of augmented, virtual, hyper, mixed, you take all of these kind of factors. What people don't realize, they think about them as separate technologies, but everything's actually converging. You've got virtual assistants converging with the camera. So you've got a new lens to your world and a better way to understand everything that's happening around you. So it's a really interesting time.
Give me those 3 E's again. It was exponential, something in the past tense. Give me those 3 again. It's
empower, exponential, and enhanced. So if you can look at all of technology that's out there right now and how it's impacting individuals and behaviors, because within a very short amount of time, our environment's going to adapt to us versus us inputting into the technology. That's what's happening.
And that's powerful stuff, because just like you said, I have the extended Hulu subscription, and so I don't watch anything live anymore, or I do if I just catch it and then we go to commercial. I'm going to go to the DVR, or I'm going to go to the on demand, and it's just a customization, and it's part of my expectation as a entitled, privileged consumer in the modern world. But these things beyond recreation, they're actually helping. I'm reading that robot surgeons are doing a better job at certain techniques than physical human surgeons. And then you can combine the two through augmented reality and cut out all the bugs, and eventually come out with ways to enhance what we're all doing. Even our glasses are probably the original augmented reality or artificial technology, I guess, back with Ben Franklin or other people with the bifocal. So do you give us any other examples of what's coming forth into the world that we live in?
Yeah, even going back to your earlier healthcare example, what I'm finding is that if you humanize robots or humanize robotics, it actually drives more even patient adherence towards medication than going to a website or, using a mobile device or whatever it is, just because it's that ability to kind of interact with the technology. That's just one piece. And then you have all of the major technology manufacturers. I follow the patents. That's one way to kind of get a little bit of a tease on what's potentially coming. And you combine that with Gen Z and millennials' openness to actually taking and using a glasses form factor to kind of change their world. That's another kind of key thing to consider. And also the role of the camera. We consider the camera as like a capture device, but for a number of Gen Zs, it's actually a communication device. My daughter will not actually call anyone, but she'll spend almost all day FaceTiming with her friends. So it's changing expectations tied to experiences, the role that augmented reality is going to play. So it's a fascinating time.
Well, I love your example of, what's easier. If you have all these complicated medications and complicated schedules, and then they cause maybe a little bit of nausea, so you're not feeling right, but it's the best thing for you. What's easier, going to a website and figuring everything else and trying to retrieve it, or having maybe a bot or, email sequence or something more advanced than that, more secure than that people would use, but have something kind of hold you by the hand and kind of guide you through and kind of idiot proof the whole sequence so that you take the things that you're supposed to be taking. I love that example. What specifically, Tom? I mean, I know you're looking at trends. I know you're kind of seeing all the patents out there. You're kind of forecasting the future. What are some of the things that you're actually doing in terms of maybe consulting or problem solving for individuals or corporations? Or tell me a little bit about what you're actually doing in the real world transactionally in that way.
Absolutely. So, I run a pretty big team, and our innovation team is really focused on integrating new and emerging technologies, whether it's creating new augmented reality experiences, whether it's using, various forms of chatbots, or getting into the voice assistant ecosystems of Alexa and Google Assistant. We're using these technologies to help brands and organizations drive kind of their business results here. So we're testing and learning, we're looking at, consumer behavior, and we're also helping them understand that experiences are moving beyond mobile and desktop into voice, vision, and touch. And how you design these experiences and understand that AI-based robots are going to become proxies. So virtual assistants are going to take on more responsibility from us as they're able to predict more of our needs. And people are open to it. It goes back to that ease and convenience idea. So if they're able to take and do that, it fundamentally, brands and organizations have to understand the role that it's not just about the consumer, but it's also going to be about their virtual proxy here in the near future. And how do you navigate that? So that's another area that myself and my team are working on to help major corporations understand that.
Well, so that's I had to think, I had to fry a couple of brain cells on that. So really, instead of devices and instead of the keyboard in front of me on my laptop right here, voice, vision, and touch. So this is actually a really wonderful thing, because we can, I mean, this is almost like a Star Trek universe where computer, when Scotty would say, computer, do this for me, and the computer would actually intelligently do it. We're actually there now with, or getting there with Alexa and some of these other things. Does that, obviously, I guess that does excite you because this is your field and you love it. What do you say for the people that are not quite excited, and they're going to, for every Star Wars, Star Trek reference, they're going to bring in the Kubrick HAL, what was that, 2001, The Space Odyssey. What do you say to the Debbie Downers out there?
Batteries in the Matrix, etc. I mean, the reality is there are three types of AI. You've got artificial narrow intelligence, which is like Alexa. Artificial general intelligence, supposed to come online sometime in the mid-2020s. And that's basically, the entire computing power of all of human brains combined. And then what people are mainly scared of is the super intelligence or hive mind approach. The reality is these systems are going to augment our intelligence. They're not going to replace our intelligence. So if we can remove some of the entertainment references, they're fun to talk about, it's fun to watch. But the reality is the majority of these systems are going to further enhance our own abilities as human beings. That kind of takes away a little bit of that. But there still needs to be kind of the ethical responsibility tied to some of these systems, et cetera. So there's that whole piece of it. But my personal belief is it's about intelligence augmentation versus world domination.
Well, we've been enjoying this conversation with Tom Edwards. His talk is called "The Evolution of Experience," and I just love it when Tom and other guests start dropping futuristic references into the 2020s, which is really only actually only one. It's 1 year away. it's 1 year away. I'm still living in the 20th century. That's only 1 year away. So thank you, Tom, for at his own expense. It's only 1 year away, folks. I'm thinking it's like eons away. It's only one 1 year away. Anyway, the evolution of experience. We're going to be back with Tom. We're going to pivot over to you, Talk Universe, in the Blitz round. And it's time for the Blitz round with Tom Edwards. I'm going to ask Tom a series of either or questions related to the preparation and performance of his recent talk. Tom, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Were you invited to speak or did you apply?
For this event, I applied.
How did you get accepted? What advice do you have for people?
I spent a lot of time on the actual video. So taking the time to understand, what would resonate, this is normally a 45-minute talk, and distilling it down to a 15-minute talk, being able to hit kind of the core high points and getting that level of excitement. I'm very passionate about emerging technology and robots and all those things. So just making sure your passion comes through in the submission is a really key point of differentiation.
Mm-hmm. Tom, are you a memorizer? Are you an improviser, or are you a blender?
I'm definitely a blender. So I put a lot of rigor into the memorization of it. One of my core recommendations to everybody is to always write out your full talk track and then use power statements as you're going through. But I love interacting and feeding off of the crowd as well. So you have your core. Go ahead.
No, tell me more about the power statement. I like that.
Yeah. So within each section, when you write out your talk track, I take if there are 3 or 4 paragraphs tied to a slide, I pull out the main point from each of those paragraphs and put them at the front of each of those paragraphs. So there would be 4 power statements. Mm-hmm. And it just helps you really understand going from slide to talk track, making sure that you hit your core kind of themes and points that you want to get across, so you don't kind of lose that momentum.
Man, that's powerful. So I love that. Do you bold the power statement? Do you link it to a place in the house as you walk around the house? I mean, I've heard a lot of different techniques to be able to anchor some of the power statements and actually the entire talk.
I have a little robot that follows me around the house and kind of repeats. No, I'm kidding. No, it's just really, it's really about, I write it out then. What I do is I take a notebook and then just write out the whole, the slide and then just the power statements as kind of triggers. So once those are memorized, that's kind of a process. It just helps kind of take and collect your thoughts and make sure that you can kind of compartmentalize each of those segments, but you're still delivering the overall message. And it's incredibly helpful.
See, Talk Universe, Tom has the answer here. You're thinking, how do I memorize an 18-minute speech and do all? I mean, every time I bring somebody on, and it does. By the way, it doesn't need to be an 18-minute speech. The smaller, the better, actually. But how do I memorize a 9-minute, a 10-minute speech, or whatever it is? Tom just gave you the answer. What's easier, an 18-minute speech or a series of power statements that leads one to another? Powerful, powerful stuff. Love it. Tom, were you an opener? Were you a closer, or were you in between?
I was kind of in the middle. So my job was to bring the future in. There is a lot around emotion and vulnerability. Then there's around education. My job was really to help bring everybody in and think about the future. And so they put me right kind of in the middle to help bridge that.
What was the most unexpected, strange, or just plain weird thing that happened during or right before your talk, Tom?
I have a lot of embedded videos with no sound in there to kind of help convey it. Sometimes it helps people to see kind of the future state. During the middle of the talk, one of the videos, the sound wasn't muted. And so all of a sudden you hear this blaring sound coming through, and that was immediately cut off. But, you just have to roll with it, and you can integrate it in, make a joke about it, acknowledge it, and just keep going.
Well, it sounds like the sound guy was really on it.
Definitely. He was so fascinated with the robots that, the muted sound didn't happen, but it's fine.
Well, we've been enjoying this talk with Tom Edwards. His talk is called The Evolution of Experience, and we're going to have a link to that talk in our show notes at bethetalk.com. You can also connect with Tom at his website, blackfin360.com. Blackfin and then the numbers 360.com. And we'll be back with Tom Edwards in just a moment for the final word of advice. And we're back with Tom Edwards. What's the final word of advice?
The final word of advice, again, is to write out your talk, use the power statements. One thing I didn't mention is actually record your talk. Listen to yourself. Sometimes the written word translating to the spoken word, it can be a little clunky, so you have to refine it just a little bit. So what I would do is I would use a screen share, like Camtasia as a tool, record the talk with the slides, listen to it over and over, and figure out ways to refine it. Because at that point, that also helps kind of memorize the talk and helps you just really get it incredibly tight, and ask for feedback. Share it with friends and family. It's really important that you get actual reactions. That kind of iterative process really helped to refine it and make it more relatable to the audience.
Well, Tom Edwards, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come on the talk today and share your wisdom with Talk Universe.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. Just really appreciate it.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Thanks, Nathan.
Oh my gosh, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was, except for 2020 is a whopping year and a month away.
I know. I'm so used to saying 2 years now. It's like, oh my gosh, it's 1 year away.
Well, it's the Colin. What was this? Colin, the year 2000.
Yes,
that whole thing. It's like, wow, we're gonna get there someday, Tom. The year 2000. I'm still like, one of these days we're gonna get to the year 2000. It was like exactly.
Yeah. We should have had the flashlights and everything else too. So you could
exactly. We get the iPhone and that would be. I mean, that might be a fun little segment for you to scrape as like a fake ad for Blackfin or something.
No, I love that idea. So I'll fully give you credit whenever.
Well, bring me on. I'll set it up for you. All right, we're going to try to bring Beth back on, who has been so patiently waiting as a former and current guest here. All right, how's the leaf situation outside, Beth?
I think they're done. Can you hear them?
They're done. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Tom, we're going to walk you back to the green room. And right. I've got to remind me to connect you with one of last week's guests who is basically putting together his product is like data ownership. So all the data stuff that we almost got into in this interview, he built the system to privatize financial credit data, medical data, all the data, social media data, and basically have it so that we own that. And I thought you guys would be really good to connect. So please remind me, and I'll figure it out and make the introduction for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom. We're back with Beth.
Yay. How are you, Nathan?
I'm good. Now, Beth is going to be extra nice to me because I actually introduced Beth. They had me MC at her event 2 days before the event. I get the call. And so I've got like extra liberties I can take with Beth here. And for that reason, because I was backstage for Beth's entire talk, and almost don't remember what she talked about at all, I have to ask the question, what was actually the official, here it is right here, life lessons they don't teach you in driver's ed. And this is hilarious because I'm the most ignorant with my guests that I've not just interviewed, but introduced from the stage because, and you would know if Beth and I and Joe Cursillo, who I interviewed on Saturday and Says Hi, and I think you might have caught some of that interview, Beth. I mean, this venue, you've got to know when you're backstage, it's like it muffles everything. It's like the black box. You don't have a monitor. You just have a bunch of whatever that stuff. It's like the backstage of the Muppet Show from the 70s. Yeah, if you remember the Muppet Show from the 70s, and they got all like this dusty junk in the back. I'm not trying to be mean to my alma mater here, but that's the venue. It's the venue, not the alma mater. So it's like want, like Beth says. So, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a different, and I haven't even really thought about this. I'll just allude to what we already did.
We'll wing it. We'll wing it.
Beth, and I'm so sorry to ask you this. Did your talk go live, or did your episode on Be the Talk, did that go live already?
I don't think so. I didn't see it.
We've been holding it back? Huh.
Yeah.
We've been holding it back on you?
That's okay.
Strange. We should have released it.
Well, I have been busy, so I'm not sure if it did come out, and
Yeah,
I
I've been
just
busy
noticed
too. It's funny we're talking about this. I am actually looking you up on my website right now. I do this.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not been released. Okay, so we have the
Oh,
pre-talk. Go figure. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, we'll do a double episode here. We'll string
there
it
you
back
go.
to back. We're going to do the before and we're going to do the after. Is what we're going to do. All right. Enough of this. Enough of this foolishness. We're just gonna have fun here. All right. We are live in 3, 2.
Technical difficulties.
Well, now that you said that, I'm going to start it all over again because the recorder just started going. All right. All right. Beth and I are getting too chummy with each other just because of 2 years of TED Talks here. All right. 3, 2. All right, Lester. We're going to cut that.
If this isn't a precursor to what the talk is actually about.
Yeah, isn't this great? All right, we are live in 3, 2. We are live with Beth Montgomery again. Beth, are you ready to talk?
I am so ready to talk, Nathan. How are you?
I'm looking for your bio that's right in front of me. Here it is.
Oh.
I love Lester. Thank you for working overtime here, cutting this stuff out.
Thanks, Lester.
Beth Montgomery is a motivated motivator who enjoys helping others. Her children fuel her fire to make the world a better place. She is a commercial insurance agent and CPR instructor as her professional career. Beth Montgomery, welcome to the talk again.
Thank you, Nathan, for having me again.
Your talk is called Life's Lessons They Don't Teach You in Driver's Ed. The last time that we brought you on, and I think what we may have done is put you back to back here. So in our last episode, when we left our bat hero here, she was about to give her talk. And what happened in the meantime is, frankly, my bat phone rang after I got back from a vacation, and they said, "Hey, you want to MC?" And I said, "This is happening in 2 days. I already have the ticket to see Beth and everybody else." And Joe was, Cursillo was at that event speaking, closing it out. And they said, "Well, you want to MC?" And I said, "Well, let me think about it." And I said, "Sure." And then we got to see Beth's talk, and I got to introduce Beth on the stage, which I had no idea I was going to get to do. And then the best part of the whole thing is Beth absolutely slayed in that talk. You did such a great job. Now, so we talked about a little bit about your preparation in the last interview. What was it actually like? Just bring us up to the moment where we're kind of giggling backstage because of how, Dusty and Muppet Show backstagey it looks like. And then I get to introduce you, not interview you, introduce you on the stage. And then we just kind of tag teamed. You went out there. Bring us into that moment.
Okay, so the moments up before I went up on stage, it was probably the most nerve-wracking moments of my entire life. I'm back there doing my breathing exercises, doing the tongue like you can't see on the podcast, but when you stick your tongue out and you open your mouth up wide, it loosens up your jaw because I was clenching my jaw, just breathing deep. And then all of a sudden I hear Nathan call my name. And we had been having some technical difficulties with the teleprompter, even though
we had. I forgot about that. The clicker had about a 70% fail rate.
Oh my gosh. Well, the other two people that went before me, the first one, he was just phenomenal, out of this world. The second one, she was just amazing, had her speech memorized. She was great. And then the teleprompter issue. And I had it memorized to the point where, it is my story, so I knew about what I wanted to talk about, and I had listened to it like over and over and over and over and over, but I had my notes in my hand, and I remember handing them to you, Nathan, and I said, "Nathan, if I can't do this, you have to hand me the notes." And as soon as I walked out there, I saw that the clicker didn't work, and I said, "Excuse me." I got the notes, and I just needed that paper. So the guys out there were helping push those slides along, but oh my goodness. once you get up on that stage and you see everyone's face and you are out there and you're breathing and everyone's there to listen to your idea, it's a surreal experience.
Well, it really is. And for those of us with a performing artist background, when you walk out on stage, you get to the point, if you do enough performances, you get to the point where you expect to be, like the 70s song, Blinded by the Light. I think that's 70s, or was it early 80s? I don't know. Blinded by the Light. You expect to be blinded by the light, but in this venue, again, it's a special venue. You're not blinded by the light. You see all your friends there. You see all your fans there. You see all the sponsors there. There they are. And so it's a little bit of different kind of stage awareness when you walk out, especially if you expect to just see bright light, but you can actually see all the people in there. So was that so much of an issue for you, or is it just kind of, it is what it was?
No, I love connecting with my audience. When I do my CPR classes, I'm up there talking for a while, so I can, make eye contact, do some jokes, really have a connection. But with the TED Talk, it is so quick, and it goes by in a blink of an eye, and you know that it's being recorded and it's going to be sent out to YouTube land, and it's going to be out there forever as a digital imprint. So there's that whole mindset in the back of your mind that you have to say your idea in such a way that people will understand and it'll resonate.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you got your notes. The person that you entrusted your notes to was actually there to hand the notes back to you, and that was funny to hear your side of the notes, because it was like I had to hand those things back to you. Well, it's because we have clicker issues and everything else. At what point? And I'm getting real meta here and real specific, but was there a point at which you start really leaning into the talk and really enjoying your time up there? Or was it kind of, showtime and performance and pressure and you got to do it and the greater good and suck it up? Or was there a pivot point where you really leaned into it and enjoyed it?
Once I had that safety blanket in my hand, I was so ready. I was ready to go. Because the talk is so personal to my life, and my dad was sitting out in the audience, it was really cool to see his face in there and see him proud, and to really get into it and portray my idea out there.
Cool stuff. Well, let's talk about this. And we may have talked about this last time, but how did you get accepted? So talk about the process.
I applied last year at the TED Talk. When you talked, I said, okay, that's it. I love TEDx Talks. I love TED Talks. I want to be involved. Someday I'm going to be up on that stage, but maybe someday when I grow up or someday. I get to be back someday.
The sun will come out tomorrow, bit your bottom dollar about the sorrow and the pain, right?
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yeah. It's only a day away.
Well, tomorrow happened.
Awesome.
I talked to the organizers, and I was so bent on helping out for this year's event. I said, I just want to, I don't know, do the name tags. I want to check people in. I just want to, whatever you need, I'm here. And I got this email, and it said, do you have any ideas? And I said, I got lots of ideas. So I just type it in. I'm thinking in my head that I'm not going to get accepted because, one, I'm not a public speaker, or I'm not an expert in digital science or AI like some of the others, or So when I did that, I just spoke from my heart. And what really matters to me, that's innovative, because that was the theme. What is your innovative idea? And the first thing I could think of was, well, life lessons that I didn't learn in driver's ed. My dad taught me. And he correlated life lessons to driving on the road, because that's where we bonded. So not even thinking that I was going to get it, just putting it out there, going through the motions, and just trying it out. That's the whole point. If you don't try, you won't know. You won't do it. And I got an email back saying that I was accepted for the final interviews, and then I was accepted for the talk, and it was like a whirlwind. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. And Talk Universe, if you're listening to this, it's easy to miss what Beth said. So, I mean, one of the best strategies that you can employ, if you say, you know, just like Beth did, hey, I don't want to do this next time, but I want to do this sometime. And Beth is so awesome. She's such an action taker that it doesn't take long for someday to become like today and actually take action. But she was connected with the teams. She was connected with the organizers. She was a real effective champion. I mean, her social media, all of the things that she did even a year ago, she was already very well connected even a year ago. And that's one of the best things that you can do. I mean, there's one of these events going on in your town, in your city. If you live in a super rural area, you might have to drive for an hour, but there are a whole bunch of these things happening. There are TEDx's all around me. I found out there was one at the college 2 miles down the street from me a couple of months ago that I didn't even know about. So there are these things happening all the time. And all you have to do really is kind of just be known and let people know you're a person of value, that you're someone that adds value to people, that you go in there, you buy a ticket, you support it, you know, you try it out that way. And you just get involved. And then what a great way to reach out. Hey, I'd like to do name tags. I'd like to do demonstrations or whatever. And they might just up level you a little bit.
Well, I want to say too, I don't think that was the reason why they chose me, because the application process I was really curious about. And they just had the list of ideas with the paragraph, and they just laid them out, and the selection team that wanted to choose sign their names or their initials on the ideas that they liked. So it wasn't the fact that I knew them.
Oh, wow.
It was more the fact that they liked the idea, which made it a lot more real for me, that my idea was worth sharing, and that you are sitting on, who was the first one that was on the Be the Talk today? What is her name? Her name escapes me. Lauren?
Yeah, Lauren back, an hour ago. I can't remember. You're putting me on the spot. I can't remember. I'm in the moment. I'm being present.
Well, she had made that comment, like not feeling worthy enough to share.
Kathy was up first.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kathy, Karen. I'm so sorry. But the funny thing is, last year for that TED Talk, that was my first networking event where I really got into the relationship building of the professional life. And I think the most important thing to do is just create relationships that are bonded through friendships and common ground. So if you keep your inner circle and your circle around you where you want to be or what makes you grow, that's where you're going to find the most growth.
Yeah, well, so how powerful is that? So I didn't even realize. So it was the same blind selection process, merit-based, and it never hurts to know the people and to be a person of value, all of those things. How even better is it when you submit an idea and you found out that the committee actually upvoted it, which is what happened here. So congratulations to you. Beth, we're gonna come back with the final word of advice from Beth Montgomery in just a moment. Her talk is called "Life Lessons They Don't Teach You in Driver's Ed," and because she could not talk about it in our last episode, now we can include a link to that talk. It's going to go live probably in a couple of weeks now, maybe another month out, but we will upload that and we will include that, as well as we're going to include a link to Beth's LinkedIn page so that you can connect with her as well. And you can find that on our show notes page at bethetalk.com. In a moment, we'll be right back with Beth Montgomery for the final word of advice. And it's time for the final word of advice. Beth, what is it?
My final word of advice is just go with what your heart says. Just do it. And if you have any sort of passion or any sort of inkling or it excites you deep down inside, do it. Because you don't want to live life thinking, what if? What if? I want you to live life knowing that you did everything that you can and have grown to the point where you can look back and say, you know, I did try that really weird thing, but I'm glad I did because it led me here. Do it.
Beth Montgomery, thank you so much. Congratulations on being on the talk and your amazing talk and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe today.
Thank you so much, Nathan. It is always a pleasure and honor.
All right, that's a wrap.
I was kind of nervous there too. No, not nervous, excited.
Excited? Well, you've already done this.
I know, but sometimes it can get pretty nerve-wracking because it's like right on the spot. What are you going to talk about? Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
That was awesome.
Oh,
that was awesome. You did great.
Oh, thank you. So, Nathan, I'll have to touch base with you outside of podcast world because I have a couple changes. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Just update and everything else. I mean, I was a little nervous because it's like, oh, shoot, I'm going to do kind of the different format, step outside the format, but it's all good.
Step outside the box. It's okay. Yes. Change is good. Change is so good.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Awesome. Well, we're going to walk Beth back to the green room where Tom is patiently looking. He's not patiently looking. He's happily looking on. So congratulations for that. It's always good when people can stick around. Ricardo, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Well, good. Let's pull this up here. All right. Saving our iGeneration children from nature deficit disorder. That is like the best name ever. All right. Ricardo Sierra, this is the bio, founded the Hawk Circle Wilderness Camp in 1989 to help children and teens learn life skills through direct experience with nature. Ricardo believes that the disconnect of our children from nature is a powerful threat to our human species, as Tom looks on from the green room. This is awesome. This is awesome. We get the thumbs up from Tom in the green room. This is great. Hawkcircle.com, thewolverineway.com. Is that a book, Ricardo, or a second website?
That's a second website.
Okay.
That is a summit of interviews.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, we'll put them both on there. And okay. So I've got everything. Any questions for me?
No, everything sounds good.
Awesome. If you can tilt up a little bit, just pull your laptop towards you just a little bit. So I got your name tag. You're a little close to the. No, go the other way is fine. Yeah, that's perfect. No, that's not so perfect. So I got your name tag on there. I don't want it to be like covering your mouth like it actually is again now. And the other thing,
like that?
I think there might be a little bit of a delay too. So whatever you have, if you can see yourself and frame yourself well, that's great. The other thing to remember is if you lean back, then you shrink. So try to hold it just for the optics right here. So we are live in Tom's having fun with that. It's great to be able to see everybody. All right, we are live in 3, 2. We are live with Ricardo Sierra. Ricardo, are you ready to talk?
I am. Nathan, it's great to be here.
Ricardo Sierra founded the Hawk Circle Wilderness Camp in 1989 to help children and teens learn life skills through direct experience with nature. He believes that the disconnect of our children from nature is a powerful threat to our human species. Ricardo Sierra, welcome to the talk.
Thank you very much, Nathan. It's great to be here.
Your talk is called Saving Our iGeneration Children from Nature.
I think we have a little delay right now.
I think we do.
Technology.
I think we do. We're talking over each other. Let's see here. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tell me which number you hear. 8, 9, 10, 11. Are you hearing? What 11. Was the?
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Hopefully we don't have too much of a delay anymore. Your talk is called Saving Our iGeneration Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. And man, powerful, sobering statistics. Our kids are at risk. 6% of our kids are actually allowed to play outside on their own now. So the children of the 70s or the 80s, probably 100%. Now it's down to 6%. Everybody else is being helicoptered. And you go in your talk and talk about the loss of resiliency emotionally and socially, as well as just manual dexterity, that we're actually getting blisters and all kinds of things happening because we're not actually touching anything anymore. Please, Ricardo, take us behind the talk.
Well, this talk was it was pretty nerve-wracking for me because the issue of nature deficit disorder is such a powerful kind of threat, like, in a scary way, to our culture and to our kids. And I really wanted to do it right. I knew I only had 13 minutes, 15 minutes, and so I really wanted to create a emotional impact with the viewers that were there and anybody watching down the road. And so I kept trying to really balance between, scaring people with the statistics, which are pretty frightening. And also I had to balance it with kind of an emotional story about what are the successes that, what are things we can do, and where can we find success? And so the work that I've done for the last 30 years, teaching children about nature in wilderness settings and giving them nature education has, helped me to find solutions to some of what we're going through. But it's very difficult to communicate that in 13 minutes. So this was a really tough talk for me to kind of wrap my head around and then really try to have an impact. So that was a struggle.
Yeah, well, Ricardo, bravo to you. I really applaud and salute you, because I mean, what you didn't just say is that really this isn't a talk out in your neck of the woods. Literally, this is a digital TED and TEDx and YouTube, and the whole medium is digital. You're talking to people that are stuck on their phone or looking at a screen, and that's the only way that they can hear the delivery. So it enhances kind of the irony in terms of that. And it also really demonstrates your extreme skill. I mean, I'm not going to call it complete mastery, but I'm going to call it amazing level of skill outside of your own neighborhood to go into a digital medium, go with all the parameters of a TED Talk, including the time limit, and really do some of the things you did. You had some really powerful sound bites. I know you mentioned you attributed that term nature deficit disorder to the person who, I don't remember who had actually come up with that,
right.
But those were the kinds of sound bites that you really need to kind of come out slugging, give us something provocative, and then actually give us real statistics. I mean, those are real statistics. You really, I felt like you really leveraged the medium very, very effectively. And yet it has to be a little jarring. And you did all of those things in the right proportion. And I'm sure it is because Talk Universe, because Ricardo took this so seriously. And so all that work, I'm just trying to say, I felt like it absolutely paid off for you.
I think it did. It was nerve-wracking for me, because I kind of started with a number of different stories. I had a really great story right out of the gate, but then I ended up changing everything around about 2 weeks before the talk was scheduled, and I just had to cut things out, and it was frustrating. And I kept feeling like I wasn't going to do it justice, and so I did a lot of recording. I recorded myself over and over again. And I listen, and it forced myself to listen to myself and go, okay. The more I listened to myself, the more I was like, okay, this isn't maybe going to resonate. And I been helping me, I don't know if it's divine guidance or whatever, but something seemed to help me feel really calm right before my performance, right before the event, that allowed me to really kind of hit my target. So I feel really fortunate about that. So
yeah. Well,
I have a lot to learn.
Well, I wonder if it wasn't just your sense of integrity and mission and cause, because these are, yeah, they're performances. You have to get up there and you have to perform. You have to, a lot of the performance is preparing and doing the exact kinds of things. I mean, Ricardo, what Talk Universe, what Ricardo just said is exactly what we teach in the Get Accepted course. You've got to actually get on the same medium, not just the physical stage, but you've actually got to take out the very uncomfortable work, unless you do this, on your podcast week in, week out, like I do. But even I hate the way that I sound and look on the screen. And that's a universal thing. Ricardo had to get past it. And because he did, he was able to own this foreign territory of the digital screen as a nature analog, an organic guy. So congrats to you.
Well, I really appreciate it. The thing that was pretty intense too was, I knew that it wasn't really going to be about me, but I also knew that, because it's a bigger mission, like you said, but I also knew I had the same things going on. I was like, okay, what should I wear? I feel like they're all going to just be staring at me, or this thing or that thing. I felt like all that stuff kind of came into my head.
Little bit of a slowdown
really
there.
All the other
We're going to
speakers,
have
Lauren
Rick,
was there. They all were
Ricardo. if you're hearing me, you cut out for about 3 whole seconds, so you're going to have to go back to the beginning of that sentence. If you can remember what you just said, you were talking about you were a little insecure about what you were going to wear, et cetera, which is actually what we all are too.
Yes. So yeah, I was so worried about how people were going to see me, and it felt like, they're going to stare at me, they're going to think I'm, overweight or whatever it might be, and I had to kind of just let that go and say, it's really about the mission. It's not really about me. I got to do the best I can to do right by these kids and by the parents and grandparents, and not make it focused about me. If anybody, and I know that if anybody does focus about it on me, that's really about them. So I had to kind of let that go, and that was hard. That was scary.
So this is amazing to me, because these are all the things, these are all highly nuanced things that we talk about in Get Accepted. And that's probably the number one thing. It's even harder to make this vulnerable and make it personal, really make it about you from a place of authenticity, and then pivot very quickly so that it's really about them. And Ricardo, you've found a way to pull that off, and I mean, that's why it's a great talk.
Thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I know that I have a lot to learn still too. So, I'm going to keep going.
Awesome. Ricardo, if you could just kind of summarize your mission and tell me a little bit more about what you do specifically in your wilderness camp, just so that I know of the kind of work that you're doing and what the format really looks like. Is it a traditional camp? Is it a summer camp? Is it kind of like a survivalist type of thing? What is it?
My summer camp it's a wilderness camp, but it's a way to kind of ease children into a connection to nature. So we have, cabins that kids stay in, and we begin by helping them really connect with each other. And we do survival skills like building a fire, making shelters, lots of crafts. It's very focused on what I call the natural advantage, which is, being in nature, learning skills, and then having opportunities to bond with each other and share our experiences and feel connected. Because with those 3 things are really what help us to feel connected as human beings to each other like we have for hundreds of thousands of years. So that's really the main focus of the program. It's a week long, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, we've been enjoying this talk with Ricardo Sierra. His talk is called Saving Our iGeneration Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. And we're going to be right back with Ricardo in just a moment in the Blitz Round. And we're back with the Blitz Round. It is time for the Blitz Round with Ricardo Sierra. I'm going to ask him a series of either-or questions related to the preparation and performance of his recent talk. Ricardo, are you ready?
I'm ready.
First question, were you invited to speak or did you?
I was invited.
You didn't miss that. I got a phone call.
Sorry.
that was me. No, that was me getting a phone call. Were you invited to speak or did you apply?
I was asked to apply, and then I think when I applied, I sent in a video, and we had about 70 other people. So I found out later that, I kind of beat out a lot of other people with this mission. So I felt really fortunate to be able to be grateful for that. And the application process really helped to bring my talk into a clear focus. So it was really helpful.
What's your advice for other people to get accepted? We have a bit of
Sorry,
a delay.
My internet is on satellite, so it's really everything's frozen up right now. I don't know why.
Yeah. Here's my question. What advice do you have for other people to get accepted? You know what?
When it comes to this talk. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think what we're going to do, let's I will call you up on the phone and finish the interview, and then we'll get the audio out of it because the delay is it's like 10 seconds on each side and whatnot. So, I love it because you're the nature guy. So, I mean, again, you're outside of your domain right now. So it's pretty cool. It actually fits. So, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to bring Tom and Beth back on. Thanks for hanging out. And I'm going to shut off my recorder. Awesome. Thanks for joining and sticking around, everybody. Any final words for everyone?
Just great job, everybody. It was really a lot of fun to hear everybody's different perspectives and, just personalities coming through.
Okay, and now Beth has muted her. She's mute again. So, Tom, this is great. What are your thoughts about Ricardo? I know you probably haven't seen the talk, but what do you think of what we've been talking about just from the organic, not even analog, but this is organic caveman stuff almost, it seems.
I think it's great. I think, I've got 3 kids. I've got a 16, a 14, and a 10-year-old, and you're 100% right. I remember being a kid and going outside and playing, and that 6% stat just really shocked me. I mean, I knew it was low. I didn't realize how low it was. And connecting that to potential, physical issues or different even emotional connections, like that was a really interesting thing. So I definitely want to watch your talk.
Yeah, I mean, really, 1 out of 20 kids has a authentic outdoor childhood, basically. And again, I'm not blowing smoke with Ricardo's talk. He really did tie it in, and it wasn't fear mongering or any of this other stuff. It was just really well timed sound bites and then real stats that are really disturbing. And then, and really just the continuum that Ricardo lays out we're really the first generation that hasn't had to, hunt, gather, or at least be tied to the land at all. Now we're completely divorced, as if we're in outer space with these screens all the time. So he really does lay out a compelling case. Ricardo, I'm going to give you my Zoom link. This is going to be another webinar, but this tends to be a much better connection for people with tough connections. So if you see that in the chat window, I've put that on the chat right now. You can cut and paste that in, and I'm actually opening mine up, and we'll finish up this blitz round over there. For everybody else, thanks for joining us today. We've got 3 more interviews this evening at, I think, 6 or 6:30. And man, it's going to be another great packed day of killer interviews. Thanks to all my guests.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, everybody.